was during an annual assessment for the utility up Northwest. This is a Wanapum unit, and it was very different from the rest. So most of the stability runs, this number 3 unit showed up. Everyone else kind of damped over here. And then there was this one. And it was pretty consistent. Now, I thought, well, I'm going to flag that as might not necessarily be a literal violation of the TPL, because it does show positive damping, but it's bad enough, or it looks to me like bad enough. So for you generator folks, is that bad enough to look into? I'm not a generator person, but that doesn't look right, especially when all the others are well behaved. And you did not end up, granted, around Vantage, it's pretty frisky, right? The coolie's pushing on things pretty hard. You got one of them crease really going, and there's not a whole lot of load there, so things get exciting just when the wind blows. But for this thing not to go away, I was curious, and so one of the things that, since I'm not a model person, but I know enough about big crayonish block diagrams, machine model, governor, etc. I can play in that realm. I can't play within the buried parameters, but I can monkey around with this. And while what you can do, because these cases take forever, right? A 20-second stability run on WEC takes 20 minutes, and I'm just really impatient. So to get this to go quicker, you can roll down to this SMIG thing, this SMIB eigenvalues, which again, I dimly recall eigenvalues. I've watched more than one presentation from these guys on eigenvalues, and I say, God bless them, I just don't know. But within this thing, I've got it down to this generator, and it's not Wiggles. I was thinking I'd hide the names to protect the innocent, but that's okay. It's one of them. You can right-click on this and save a 2-bus, and it'll save out a PWV. Honk. We'll just save it. Not already saved. We're just going to call it. No, we'll just call it Gen whatever. And then let's open that. Am I missing something? Where'd that go? There it is. So there's my case. And if we go to a case summary, it's pretty bare, right? It's 2 buses. It's me, Wiggles generator, and this infinite bus. But all the modeling's still there. And I think, like you guys said, I don't know if you said it yesterday or not, but Power World in all of its magical wonder, if I go to transient, I think this fills stuff in for me. Yeah. So it's got a fault 1.05. Let's just kick this thing, and it even has plots for me. So that's lovely.
So what this was doing when he right-clicked on it is it took the bus where his generator was at. There's 2 generators there, though, right?
Well, there's one of them's got 8. There's 2 on each.
Yeah, there's 2 on each.
Dangling off.
Simulator then calculated what the driving point impedance was at this bus looking out into the system, and we put that on this line. And then we put a second bus up here with an infinite bus. So the idea is this is a quick way to build a little dinky case where you can study what is going on only at this bus all by itself. And then you can play with it. Richard's seeing that it's unstable all by itself.
It actually gets worse in this.
Yes. So, and you can run this really fast because it's 2 buses. Just play with it.
Now, I'll be honest, right? I'm, again, modeling PhDs. If they're one bookend, and let's say a FERC auditor is the other bookend in the continuum, I'm like right over here, right? I'm this lowly planner, and this is really not good, but I'm trying to help out somebody who's sadly even less of a lowly planner than I am, and they're all by themselves, right? And so, poor thing, she doesn't know, been thrust into a planning job and looking for some help. And I thought, well, this is all an academic thing, so let me poke around in here, because now I just have a 2-bus case, and there's not a whole lot in here to get confused about. So, again, we can then open up old Wiggles here. Oh, is that the right one? No, that's not. That's not the right one. That guy. Now, just from all the units at one of them, I think there's 8. Not one of them has the same set of models, 4 models, which was different, right? There was combinations of, it would have the same motor and generator, but a different exciter. So within 4 things, you can have lots of combinations, and I don't think they have any 2 that are the same. And that sort of makes sense. If they were on a 5-year schedule, maybe that could happen. Maybe they were updating models slowly, which we'll probably see 10-year cycles. We're going to see, sadly, some gen route type stuff, if it's there, just stagger into the more recent thing, unless we ask specifically, get every gen tested this year, and let's get them consistent. But be that as it may, so what, right or wrong, I'll just disable stuff and see what happens. Yeah, and the beautiful thing about, so for you guys that haven't done this, here's our exciter, and all you got to do is say, go away. Okay? So I can keep the model there, and I can disable that. So we'll just start out way down low, and I don't think it has anything else there. Great. Okay, and just see what it does without any sort of help. Well, that's kind of disappointing, actually.
Still not great.
Huh? It's still not great, but it's better. Which is kind of counter to where I thought, as the lowly engineer that I am, I thought some of that other stuff about the machine model was supposed to make stuff better, not worse. Yeah. Now I don't know what sense it makes. You experts can correct me if I'm wrong, and my Easter egging.
It's supposed to make things more accurate, not necessarily better.
Well, does this make a whole lot of sense when I say, I'll skip the exciter, throw a governor in there? Just simply because I can. You've given me so much tools to get in trouble with that's what I'm going to do. And what you'll find out is when you add the exciter, things blow up. Everything else seems to work, but this exciter, and I don't know if folks who are, now you PhDs can help out, your members at Grant, who's going to go back to their mod stuff, but the exciter they have for this one, does any of that make sense? Are those legit parameters? I can't tell.
A little bit
I
high.
remember, I've seen this one enough to.
If I default those, it works. If I say go back to default, it's pretty well behaved.
They're using different exciter models too.
You got one open? There's a
Yeah.
collection of them. It's a
In
forest.
the newest case.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. And that's where I give up as a planner. I just say, yeah, you got to go to your mod standard and figure out. Because I have hand entered these for generation before, and I have found my own mistake. Looking at 2 screens, going, okay, I got this. You do that for a day, and it's mind numbing, right? The data stuff is just
My job.
drive us. Yeah, well, that explains a lot, right?
It should. It should.
I saw the look on your dog.
Poor dog.
But that's a real good value of the SMID thing, because it just happens so quickly, right? You can't get a 30-second run in a second to make any progress on this. It becomes a bummer. That's one other avenue you have, especially when generators are wiggling, to go to that 2-bus thing and try to make some headway. And at least I can tell them, it sure looks like me, you should go to the exciter first, maybe. Because, I don't know what it means when I set these to defaults. Again, I'm not that, but I can plug defaults and it seems to function just well. Something's fishy there.
Yeah, it's hard to know whether it's with the exciter or with the machine model. It could just be bad machine model parameters too. Because even without the exciter, that's oscillating a lot.
Seems to be having a
by
good day.
itself. Yeah.
You run into these issues with the 2-bus case, you start disabling exciters, governors, trying to figure out which one's probably running.
Yeah, I think that's more fun than useful, honestly. But there's only 4 things. I can't get into a whole lot of trouble there monkeying around with these. I can learn a little bit. Right? You can teach WSU students, hey, when the exciter, usually, put an exciter on it makes things better. In this case, it's just kind of funky.
So
But at least it's enough data to say there's something suspicious about this model. I don't know what this is.
That checkbox, that is where you would deactivate
Yes.
one piece of that model.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, well, let's go set defaults. Oh, that's exciting.
So when you deactivate that model, it means the field voltage is constant the whole simulation. So the exciter is not doing anything by deactivating.
That seems a little better, but like you said, maybe the motor's still, because that's what the exciter now set to those model default parameters, which I don't know if they're better than nothing. I think they're better than nothing. They're not accurate. And Lucas wouldn't like it, right? You submit these in WEC. That was it. That was the last part of the, what do you do when a case is blown up? Again, I would highly recommend, just for fun, looking up the grid manual. I think with the intellectual history you have here, you all could put together a manual about, well, what have we learned in 30 years at Bonneville about how to make these cases better? Because if half of you got sucked up by aliens tonight, the other half would be kind of bummed. Have your brains got all taken away. For other reasons too, but let's be, I got a job then. I'll miss you, Dimitri, but did you write something down for me?
Richard, just show us one more time how to output that two-bus model.
Yeah, let's go back to the,
I don't know if anybody caught it.
I guess I can do it. You can do it here. This is a two-bus case, but you're in transient stability. You roll over here to submit eigenvalues, which you just don't want to do. Because honestly, when Tom and Jamie say, yeah, you just might not want to go here, a planner like me, that means do not go there. You're just going to call yourself crazy. You guys, when you guys say, well, a high value could be wrong or it couldn't be wrong, I know well enough to go, yeah, just don't go there. So you'll find your generators down here, all the things that could, and you right click on, again, I just called it wiggles, and there it is, save two-bus equivalent. And it's just a lot of fun to play with, even as an academic exercise, to play with what different exciters do, because again, the faults are already there, the plot's already there, so you can just teach yourself a little bit about what these different models do. Kind of a handy thing.
And what you can verify is if the generator all by itself behaves fine, then you know it's something in the system where there's two generators interacting, which is usually bad news because that's harder to figure out. But if it's a problem all by itself, I mean, for most of the time, if it's not your generator, you're just going to turn the generator machine off, and just treat it as a constant. Because you're not going to know how to fix it. Yeah.
So I used to know this, but I might ask for some memory fixing. Driving point impedance, is that when we whole three-phase fault on the system, and if you were to create the entire system as a feminine equivalent, it'd be the impedance looking back at all the generators feeding the fault?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah,
Basically,
right?
is that what it was?
Yeah, it's what you see looking out into the system. You can get it from the diagonal of the zoom.
Right, I just don't remember.
And you can get that value on at a bus, I forget what screen the driving point impedance is, for like fault.
Well, I'll pull it up on
Okay.
in a second.
That was all I had. Any questions about bad data? Yes.
Can you apply this to wind plots also?
The single machine, yeah, definitely. You just any generator, you right click on, save two bus equivalent. Yeah, because it's just that driving point impedance calculation isn't. I mean, there's no internal impedance then, as part of it. But yes.
Presenting, so they didn't have we don't have the notes at the bottom.
Oh, okay. Let me email something like that.
Okay, so it's an older case, but sorry, you were asking for. What he was talking about in simulator, if you come under tools, and I think it's under connections. There's actually a whole bunch of things in here I don't have time to talk about today, but there's a bunch of sort of graph theory tools where you're looking at how are things connected, like what's the shortest path between here and here, or I've got a bunch of buses here and a bunch of buses here. Tell me the minimum number of transmission lines I can have to island those two groups. There's all kinds of stuff in here that we're not talking about today. But one of them in here is the driving point impedances. So if I click on that, there's then some options about do I include the transient stability internal impedance of generators or not. That's what that's related to. So I'll just leave the defaults, and if I hit calculate here, it actually calculates the driving point impedance at every bus in the whole system. Actually, I liked your dialogue, Tom. It said, "Be patient. This can take a little while," or something like that. It's pretty quick. It says, "Be patient on large cases." But it's calculating the driving point impedance at every bus in the whole system. If you wanted to find like the weakest bus in your whole system, it's this one. About SL. Let me zoom in on these. Which makes sense. These are kind of the buses in the middle of nowhere. So Ponderosa here is also kind of in the middle.
Ponderosa. They're Ponderosa.
That's not the
Area.
Ponderosa.
Nope. What?
66.
That's not our Ponderosa.
No, it's in Pack East.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got confused.
So anyway, that can be a useful kind of looking for the weak parts of the system.
It's all BC Hydro almost.
Yeah, it will make sense because they're way up there. So, yeah.
What was the definition of this impedance again?
Tom, how do you define this? I've never really thought. Yeah.
It's what you see looking into the system.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, if you want to ask how to calculate it, you build the Y bus, right? You invert it, and it's the diagonal at the bus.
Okay, so it's really what you're looking out from.
It's
that
looking
bus.
out from this bus into the whole
Into the
system.
Equivalent system.
Yes.
So that's how much impedance that you see if you
Kind
threw
of.
some kind of arbitrary voltage on.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? Yeah. Okay, and then the other thing is that he was showing was this. I got a big queso. Thought I had a big queso. Oh, it's over here. So if I zoom in on this. So if I wanted to look at, like, give me the name of a wind plant near you that you care about.
Wild
Canyon.
horse.
Wild Horse? WLDH or something? Then we have
Just Wild Horse.
this one? Okay, but they're all off in this case. That's
How
kind
about
of
Nine Canyon?
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Which one?
Off.
That one's also off.
That's not my fault.
Hopkins Ridge.
Tell you what, let me do it.
All the good ones are always off.
Yeah, they're all off because they don't work, right?
Pebble Spring.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Devils?
Pebble.
Pebble Spring.
Pebble?
Like the Flintstone character.
It's 47887.
Yeah,
Oh.
there it is. You know what, this is I think this is a light winter case. That's the problem. Anyway, the point is, if you come in here, right-click on a generator, you can say, save 2 bus equivalent, if you're having trouble with it. Honestly, it's one of the first things I do when I get a support question from a customer saying, why is this generator going nuts? The first thing I want to know is it something about the generator all by itself?
You right click on the bus?
You right-click, this is a list of generators,
Oh, okay.
and then this is telling you what the active model is.
Yeah, I missed where to.
And you just right-click on it, and it's under, sorry, it's actually right here at the top.
Save 2 bus.
Save 2 bus equivalent.
All right, thank you.